I'm out at the Wild Dog Diggings near Dunolly, which is one of the region's best examples of shallow alluvial workings. And today I'm going to show you some of the brilliant features of these diggings and share a bit about the area's interesting history. Discovered in the mid-1850s, some holes here at Wild Dog were paying as much as an ounce to the tub, but the ground was fairly patchy and inconsistent. Because of this, Wild Dog was initially pronounced by many to be a shicer, but those who worked with perseverance and patience could do well here. Miners sank shafts down into this shallow section of the Wild Dog lead, digging through this cemented ground to reach the gold which had settled at the bottom. If you take a look down these shafts, you can see that the entire ground from top to bottom consists of ancient riverbed, and the river rocks have been cemented together over time. Well, they are cemented, but are still fairly easily excavated in places, and ground like this could be quite unstable to sink through. You will notice that there are a large number of circular shafts here. Circular shafts are generally supposed to have been sank by Chinese miners due to a belief that evil spirits hide in the corners. But circular shafts are also much more stable, and in alluvial ground such as this, a stable shaft is certainly an advantage. These shafts could have been sank by Chinese miners, but they could also have been sank by Europeans for that added stability. Perhaps it's a combination of both. There are a few very interesting examples here where the shaft began as circular, then partway down they switched to a rectangular shape. Another thing which helps to make shafts more secure is the construction of a wooden collar at the top. This helps keep loose material from around the top section of the shaft from falling in. There are a few here which still retain surviving remnants of this wooden collar. As we walk around the diggings here, we come across many open mine shafts, both circular and rectangular, all in a fairly good state of preservation. Some particularly deep mine shafts have been covered for safety. In this very shallow section, miners dug under the cemented ancient riverbed and opened it right up beneath the ground. The whole area is scattered with river rocks, which were both eroded from this cemented ground and pulled out from underground. There were several rushes to Wild Dog through the 1850s, but they were interspersed with periods of quietness, with both the diggers and the grog shop keepers who served them complaining about the scarcity of gold. Small rushes continued into the 60s. For example, diggers rushed the junction of the Wild Dog and Burnt Creek leads in 1861, and the old ground in Wild Dog Gully was revisited a few years later when some first-rate patches were brought to light. A dreadful incident was associated with this place in 1860, when a woman mysteriously disappeared while on her way from nearby Little Chinaman's to Wild Dog. Mrs. Miller was 35 years old with light hair and blue eyes, and it was feared she may have fallen down a deep shaft, as she was of intemperate habits and had already been pulled out of shallow shafts more than once. Mrs. Miller never made it to Wild Dog. She was found drowned in a waterhole several weeks later, not far from Little Chinaman's, with a whiskey bottle found close by. It was supposed that she fell into the waterhole while intoxicated. This is just one of many similar incidents which happened across the gold diggings of Victoria. Now let's take a closer look at the Wild Dog lead. The area of diggings which we're looking at are here. This deep lead map shows it as consisting of sand and gravel, which we can certainly see. And if you take a look at this area on GeoVic, you will find that it is marked in purple, which is a shallow lead. Wild Dog heads down to the south where it meets with the Burnt Creek lead, then continues around to the east until it runs into the Bet lead. In 1880, the Burnt Creek Company intercepted the Wild Dog lead, and in 1886, bores had returned such good prospects along it that they began to sink a shaft. We can see these boreholes marked out on this plan, included in the 1887 report on diamond drills and water augers in Victoria. 19 bores were put down in 2 lines across the Wild Dog lead and proved ground from 16 to 65 feet in depth. 2 of these bores had very favourable results. The number 7 bores on both lines bottomed at 55 and 65 feet, and both hit wash dirt which had good prospects of gold. Here are the results of these 2 bores, including the different layers they drilled through to get to the bottom. In 1888, it was reported that the company had about 5,500 feet along the course of the Wild Dog lead, and that a shaft had been sunk but the ground had proved too wet to work by hand and the reef very hard. Work was discontinued to push on the works at the number 2 shaft. The mine was working both the Wild Dog and the Burnt Creek leads, and they planned to commence blocking as soon as their new puddling machinery was erected. You will notice in these old mining reports for deep lead mines, they often talk about the reef, which may seem unusual. In this case, they are not referring to a quartz vein, which is also known as a reef. They are actually referring to the bedrock. When they mention blocking or blocking out, they are talking about the working of auriferous wash dirt in blocks. A block is an area of wash dirt which is drained and surrounded by cross and cutting up drives and is ready to be taken out and treated by puddling and washing. The puddling machinery mentioned would have been a series of steam-powered gold puddlers. The Burnt Creek mine can still be seen on Google Earth today and is situated on private property. Much of the Wild Dog Lead is deeply buried under farmland, but this section on public land at the Wild Dog Diggings Historic Area is a great place to visit to check out the sort of workings that occurred on many shallow leads across the Goldfields. Thanks for watching this video. If you're interested in learning more about alluvial gold workings at different depths, check out this video. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications.